Welcome to Tampa's Table, a culinary journey. I'm Jeff Hauk. I'm Vice President of Marketing for the 1905 Family Restaurants. And today, my guest is my boss, my colleague, Andrea Gonzmart Williams, fifth generation caretaker, owner, operator of the 1905 Family Restaurants, which includes Columbia, Eulalie, Casa Santo Stefano, Cha Cha Coconuts, and the world. Welcome.
So excited to be here with you.
This is weird.
We always spend so much time together, but now it's like in a different capacity.
Now we have cameras.
Yes, we do.
I know last night we were talking, we're like, what are we going to talk about tomorrow? I'm like, I don't know. How's it going to be? 30 minutes. Oh, that's nothing.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about it. We just sat here for 20 minutes talking about nonsense.
We did a pre-interview before the interview. So I want to start out with this. What is your favorite Tampa flavor?
What does that mean?
A flavor you can only get in Tampa. Something that makes you feel like it's home.
Oh, well, when you said that, when I thought of flavor, and for me, Tampa being home means different things. I mean, I guess that means different things for other people.
Sure.
My original thought was chicken and yellow rice, and that's not because of the Columbia restaurant. It's probably because it's something my grandmother always cooked. It's something my mother always cooked. I was still eating leftovers from what I cooked last week. That is a very home flavor to me. But a lot of my feeling of home is related to the Columbia, though.
It's got to be an interesting experience, I would think, from the outside. And I know you get a lot of this where people project their lives on your lives and you're so public and your family's so public. But for your chicken and yellow rice to be a personal thing while it's also a very public thing, when did you learn to make chicken and yellow rice for the first time?
I think I always helped my mom cook it. I don't think I cooked it for the first time until I was an adult, and I literally was working off the recipe my mom gave me that my mom got from my grandmother.
Okay.
And my mother always added a cup of beer, and I just remember that because I don't do that anymore. She used to substitute a cup of the water with beer.
I've never heard that
and
before.
I haven't done that, and it's written in my recipe.
Well, now I got to do it this weekend.
But now I don't follow the recipe because my recipe has become very my own.
So what is your recipe?
Well, so I used to use bone-in chicken, and somewhere along the lines, I switched over to boneless. And my dad came over to eat last weekend, and he's like, I really like it with the boneless. And actually, we may be changing it to Columbia because of that. And I like to put ham in it. I like to put chorizo in it. My daughter loves chorizo, Amelia. And I used to put lima beans, but now I've moved to green beans. So I always like to throw a vegetable in there.
Okay.
And that's it. Everything else is traditional. I go light on the green peppers because I'm not a huge cooked green pepper fan. And I always work so hard at my sofrito. I'm like, this is going to be the best chicken and yellow rice that ever made. And it always turns out exactly the same. And I'm like, ah!
But I think that's what makes it great is it's so forgiving, number one.
Yes.
And it's satisfying on the end of it. So boneless versus obviously boned chicken, there's got to be a flavor difference.
Absolutely.
Do you use thighs? Do you use white meat? What do you use?
I use white meat.
Okay.
If it was up to my daughter, I would use dark meat, but I'm not a dark meat fan.
I'm a dark meat fan.
Yeah, and that it's I don't know if it's the health thing or if it's just because I always ate white meat. I'm not sure. Bone, you probably get a hell of a lot more flavor. You have to. Yeah. But there's just something nice and easy about not having to deal with the bone.
How often does it happen that something that you or your father, your family does in the kitchen winds up being something we try at the restaurants?
What he does in his kitchen winds up a lot at the restaurant. When he comes to my house, I don't think that way. Honestly, when he comes to eat at my house, I try my best to recreate things that he can't get at the restaurant or that my grandmother used to cook for him because it makes me so happy when he's like, when I cook tortilla, this is the best tortilla. Everyone in Spain, you could go up against them. And this is like the biggest compliment ever.
Sure.
And he told me like,
it's not like he has never had it before. I mean, he's had how many of them?
Well, he's like, I don't have the nerve to put as many potatoes in the pan as you do. And it's scary because it's usually overflowing, but that's what my grandmother's recipe says, and that's one of the few recipes I trust in her cookbook.
Well, and the other thing, just for people who are not aware, tortilla, when we're talking about a tortilla, is an egg dish that has potatoes and peas and ham and
onions, whatever you want to put in it.
And it's cooked in the skillet, and then you flip it over.
I'm afraid to flip it.
Oh, okay.
So I put my broiler on and I stick it in the oven.
Okay, so you finish it on
yes.
top. And it is in your grandmother's cookbook that came out in the 90s.
Yes.
The classic Columbia restaurant cookbook. And you know, I loved when you told me the one time that it's like everything is either 375
It's
or
350.
350.
350, either 20 to 30 minutes.
Right. Whether that's true or not is another thing. But yeah, the tortilla, when I first had the Spanish tortilla, I remember exactly where I was. It was at a breakfast meeting at Columbia, long before I had joined the company. And it was on the breakfast buffet, you know, for groups. And I know now we only serve it at the airport for the breakfast menu there, if I'm not mistaken. I
We
better
do it
be
for
right.
banquets. For banquets, you can get it.
Okay, for banquets, yeah, the same thing. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, this is one of the coolest things. How did I ever not know about this? And because I love eggs, I'm like, I got to try this at home. And I think that's such a great part about Colombia is that you have something and you think, oh, this is great. I'm going to try and make this at home. And we give you recipes.
Absolutely.
And it's like, even if you make it at home, it doesn't have the Colombia. It is the Colombia.
No, I mean,
there's something about the flavor, I think.
Well, okay, you're right. And that's why I'm trying to chase the taste of the chicken and yellow rice at the Columbia restaurant, because mine's not as good as theirs.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I'm forever chasing, is their sofrito, that I cannot get mine to be as good as theirs.
I was more referring, and not to contradict at all, but I was more referring to, there's something about somebody in a tuxedo coming and serving you, and the ambiance and everything. There's like a hidden flavor.
Yes,
of Colombia.
Absolutely. And anything that you don't cook yourself always tastes better. That's what my mother always said.
My wife is always, why does your food taste better than what I have on my food? You know, she's like digging out on mine. What is your earliest food memory?
My earliest food memory? This is going to be really stupid, but my father always loved breakfast. You know, my father loves breakfast.
I love breakfast too.
And he would love to cook breakfast for us. And my job was always the bacon. That was my earliest job in the kitchen. The first thing I learned how to cook.
In the frying pan or?
In the microwave.
Hey, what works, it works.
Until this day, I still cook it in the microwave.
Paper towels?
Drives my husband crazy.
Does it really?
The only time I ever fry bacon in a pan is if I need the grease for something.
Okay.
So that is my earliest thing I ever cooked. But even then, my next memory probably cooking would be making French toast with my father or my grandmother.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I learned more when we opened Goody Goody. I learned more about breakfast in 6 months than I ever knew. The man raised chickens. The man knew more about eggs than I ever knew. And like every day I went to like breakfast school with him.
Yes.
And he had a certain way he wanted to bake a giant pancake instead of stacking it, because if you butter it and the syrup, it doesn't get to everything. I mean, he has such a theory behind what makes things more enjoyable.
Yeah.
And especially like we talk about the architecture of the Cuban sandwich. He has to have it a certain way. It has to be made properly. It looks like a simple thing, but it's essentially 8 recipes in one.
Yep.
There's that hidden side of it that I think that I know I enjoy it, because it's like, oh, okay, there's a thought behind it. There's thoughtfulness and planning and execution.
Well, he's always thinking about it, because even something with as simple as like, he'll come over, I made the best hash browns or home fries this morning. You know, I did it this way. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, because he'll see that because I still make my home fries the same way he made them. So, you know, and the ongoing joke between my mother and I is when my father starts cooking, she's like, he claims he's making, like, we'll just say beef stew. She's like, it's not going to taste like beef stew. He's putting all these weird things in it. They're in the fridge that need to go. So I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Yeah, he'll come in on a Monday and say, you know what I tried this week? And then, like, he'll name, like, you know, I tried a radiator and then something of a satellite, and then I put it with beef and it was awesome, you know?
Yep.
But, you know, there's nothing like getting an email from him at 2 a.m. about a stew that he found that, let's see if we could try this. And it might work, it might not. But where do you get your inspiration when it comes to food?
Where do I get my inspiration? You know, I love to find inspiration in a restaurant. I was having lunch somewhere the other day, and it's not what I was eating was so amazing, but I loved the concept of it. It had quinoa in it, had kale in it, had sweet potatoes, and I was like, I would love to recreate this at home. Right. And I took a picture of it, because I didn't even need to take the ingredients, because I'm going to make my own thing. So I'm always looking for inspiration. And sometimes it's as simple as, you know, like the other day, Amelia was like, I want pasta alla vodka sauce. And I'm like, okay, I guess I got to figure out how to make that. So, you know, I love when people, or especially Amelia, challenges me to make something, and I go online just like everybody else, and I piece together a few different recipes and tweak it, and voila, we had pasta with vodka sauce, and it wasn't too shabby.
Hey, and it's funny you say that, because I don't have the sense of worrying about something not coming out. I guess that translates into the word confidence. Where does your confidence in the kitchen come from?
Oh, no. So sometimes Amelia's like, what are we eating for dinner tonight? I was like, we're going to have lemongrass chicken. She's like, what is that? I'm like, it's a new recipe. She's like, Mom, Mom, because we were doing 2 back-to-back like guinea pigs. She's like, we can't do it back to back. Usually I probably have a 90% success rate.
Right.
I mean, you just kind of look at it, and the lemongrass, I knew it was a little because that.
But you learn every time you do it.
Well, absolutely, and I just do even when I do with my grandmother's recipes, I make notes and I tweak it and I figure out. I didn't want to do the fish sauce, so what do I do to leave that out? I won't be doing the lemongrass chicken ever again, though.
Mm-hmm.
So that's okay.
It didn't win.
Bo really liked it.
Right.
Amelia wasn't cheerleading. So, I mean, but for the most part, I usually have success, and it's confidence, and that when you cook, what works.
Yeah, you build on those basics, and then you kind of play around a little bit. And then there's the things that people will like, or you like that, oh, okay, well, Amelia likes peas, or Bo likes ham or something.
But the foreign things, you add it just, very
right.
to a minimum, just in case you don't push it over the edge that it's ruined.
It's like Thanksgiving. My mom hates smoked turkey. I smoke a turkey every year. Well, now I have to make an extra turkey because Mom doesn't like smoked turkey. Well, then I can play with that turkey.
Yes, exactly.
Before you know it, you're making 4 turkeys for Thanksgiving. So tell me about what happens when you go. One of the things, many things I love about you, and I can confess that publicly, by the way.
Thank you.
One of the things I love you for is your curiosity. And yesterday we were walking back from an event. I'm going to tell tale out of school here.
Where were you?
We're walking down 7th Avenue, and there's a new restaurant on 7th Avenue. And I was on one side of the street, she was on the other. I looked back, and you're stopped, and you're looking at the wall, and it was a menu for a new restaurant. Mm-hmm. And you're like, don't tell anybody. I stopped to look at this.
Well, we were late for a meeting.
I know.
That's
we were late.
Why.
but I mean, that kind of proves my point, is that your curiosity, it's like, okay, what are they doing? And
there was another resturant that's supposedly been opening up, and I peeked my head in there.
Right.
I mean, something you don't realize when you're on foot, since we live in Tampa and we drive everywhere, you don't have the opportunity to do that.
Well, my point is, how do you see a restaurant? Like, if you go, again, the thing I really adore about you is that I'll get reports back. Yeah, we tried that restaurant. We like this. We like this. They had a really great this. I wasn't too crazy about this. When you go into, I have again, I'm projecting on your family. You go into a restaurant and it's like the Terminator. You have like a digital readout. Oh, there's a menu and that's the service. And oh, there are bars in the wrong place or whatnot. How do you see a restaurant when you go in for the first time? What are the things that you look for that tell you about the restaurant?
I'm going to be honest. When I go into a restaurant, I try not to go in and be like that. Now, sometimes that will happen. But I think naturally, I start looking at the traffic flows and, where is the seating and how's the seating looking and where is the bar? And, you just kind of do a survey and where's the service bar and, and just you watch the flow and you learn things. Sometimes you learn good things. Sometimes you learn things not to do. Mm-hmm. But I try, and that's one thing that's very different than my father and I's. I do a good job at unplugging. I have to.
Why is that?
Because I can't have it just consume me. I try to, when I'm not at work, I try to be present at home.
You can absolutely be all consumed by it.
Yes.
It's just a thing. It's just
it's what we are.
Right.
I mean, it's what we eat, breathe, and sleep. That's what we do. But you have to be able to unplug it. And
I will confess to 4 out of 5 nights of the work week, I have Columbia dreams. They're marketing dreams.
Oh, no.
But I have them, and they're good. They're fine. It's just...
They're not nightmares.
They're intense because there's so much intensity coming at the restaurants. And it's so... I say this all the time. I've never worked for a brand that's been beloved before. And that's a different thing. It's like a public trust. You don't want to betray that by doing something that doesn't rise to people's expectations or exceed them.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of heat.
Well, last night it was really funny because I was sitting we were at an event and I was next to you and then I was next to Caroline O'Connor, who is our banquet manager, and then our GM of Ybor, and watching her and listen to her evaluate the service. And I was like, Caroline, let it go. It's not your show. Don't worry about it. And it was very interesting to see how they do the same thing.
Yeah.
That we all do the same thing because it's what we do.
Well, I look at a menu and I'm like, no, nobody proofed this. I wouldn't have put that there. This is no. And I've learned so much from you and your father about menu composition and email composition and all different kinds of display, kind of options. But yeah, you kind of pick it apart a little bit, and then you kind of shut your brain down and let the puppet show work.
Yeah.
I was in a restaurant last week next to our Columbia and Celebration in Orlando, and I'm like, I think it's good to kind of go and see what the atmosphere is and whatnot.
100%.
And I respected it because it was in the middle of a neighborhood. It wasn't on a main drag. I'm like, okay, that's a business decision. It was this kind of food and not that kind of food. I'm like, I wouldn't have expected that here. And you just start to see it. I almost think you appreciate it more sometimes from knowing how they do it. Do you have a favorite cookbook?
The only cookbook I use is my grandmother's cookbook. So I don't have a lot of cookbooks, but all my cookbooks live upstairs because I don't use them. I guess when I got married, I'd gotten a bunch of cookbooks and I thought I was going to use them. If I'm looking for something, go online and search for it. The only cookbook I pull out is my grandmother's cookbook, or my handwritten one that I have.
So, excluding Columbia Ukulele, Casa San Stefano, and Chacha Coconuts in the area, is there a food experience that you would encourage somebody to have as a welcome to Tampa?
So, welcome to Tampa.
It doesn't have to be a restaurant, whatever it is.
It's very cliche, but Burns. Burns is an experience in itself. Another, family-owned establishment. It's just so hard to get in.
Yeah.
That's the only thing, it's so hard for visitors to get in. But, when it comes to dining out in Tampa, I find it to be challenging sometimes because I guess I am so particular. And oftentimes I'm like, it's just easier to be home and I'll just cook what I want to eat because I know what I want to eat.
Right.
So, we have the argument of where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? And I'm like, forget it. We're not going anywhere.
Everybody has that.
Yeah. So, I know what I love, and there's a few different areas you can do this in Tampa, like Hyde Park being one of them. Yeah. I love to hop around.
Yeah.
Like, I love to not commit to like just one entree and one restaurant. I love to go get an appetizer here and a cocktail here and then go to the next place. And that's the great thing about Tampa, how it has evolved like that. And you can do that in so many different areas.
And it continues to.
I know.
And one of the things I talk about is how food has now become the tentpole that people expect good food everywhere they go. Doesn't matter if it's the airport, doesn't matter where it is. And I think about the Columbia Cafe at the Tampa Bay History Center on the Riverwalk and how it was Australia. It was all by itself. And now you have all the restaurants on Water Street. You have Sparkman Wharf. You can literally do that. You can do an eat around within a 3-block radius and have a vastly different experience than if you go to West Shore or if you go down to Gandy or Citrus Park or something. And that to me, I think is a healthy sign.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So do you have a go-to recipe when you're entertaining at home?
A go-to
like if you have
recipe.
people over?
So generally when we have people over, we usually are catering to the masses. Right. So I will say paella de pollo is one of my go-tos. It's one of my best friend Brian's most favorite thing that I cook besides my rice with corn. So the rice with corn is the other one because Bo will do pulled pork on his green egg and I'll make this rice with corn and bacon recipe that was my grandmother's. I also lean towards Mexican. So I love to do a nice little Mexican buffet.
So what's
I never do anything formal. That is for sure.
So the chicken paella, what's the secret there?
That's chicken and yellow rice.
Okay.
It's just a different way to call it.
Okay.
Paella de pollo.
Arroz con pollo.
I'm making you paella de pollo. It sounds a little bit more fancy.
Yeah, it's funny. Ultimately you just want people to be comfortable.
Yes. When I was younger, I used to try to do those fancy meals and do the fancy little menus, but we both spend so much of our life dressed up and at formal events that when I'm at home, I want to be barefoot. I want to be comfortable and preferably with minimal makeup on.
I know how that works. I feel the same. A lot of people will ask, again, they have so much fascination about the family operation, and it's you and your father's 4th generation, and you also have your cousin Casey Gonzmart Jr. And they ask, are they in the restaurants? Do they live here? Do they live in Tampa? I had this question yesterday, in fact, and I go, yeah, of course they are. Yeah. And it's like, it sounds incredulous to people that people who own the restaurant are actually actively involved in managing and overseeing and running the restaurants, much less the fact that you're in, Sarasota, St. Augustine, Clearwater, Celebration. There's all these locations and different brands. It has to be vital that the family's involved.
Absolutely.
It's a different flavor.
Yes. It would be a very sad, and there's so many restaurants where they end up being dissolved because the next generation doesn't want to be involved. Yeah. And it's a reality. And I'm sure my father is very grateful that I chose this path. And as I pray for the same path for my daughter, but it's something that I'm not going to force on her. Right. But she's already said it. And I mean, when I decided I was going to go into it, I was like, how blessed was I that I didn't have to figure out what to be when I was going to grow up? That I kind of had an option. And as long as I was willing to work for it and put the time in, I could do it. And I've told her that because she's like, I just want to do the restaurant. I'm like, baby girl, you have to understand. It is not all just wine tastings and, it is, putting the hours, especially for those people that are in the restaurant every day. They're long hours. It was very rewarding and I enjoyed it immensely. And I still enjoy my time in the restaurant. But there's a lot of work that goes into to get where the fun begins, where it gets a little bit easier.
But there's also a requirement, because I know that there are other family members who have thought the same thing, and you're like, oh, you've got to hit this mark. Yeah. I mean, you have to go to school, you have to get a degree.
Yes, it's in our bylaws that you must have a college education, which is kind of funny since my father technically never got a college degree.
He went to college.
He went to college.
He went to the University of Denver.
Yes.
Yes.
And then he went to school in Spain. My mother's not a college graduate either, but both my grandparents are.
He studied at the Caesar and Adela University, though.
Yes, but that was obviously not okay in today's world. So we were all encouraged.
Right.
But I mean, when it comes to it, that's a degree is the one thing no one can take away from you.
But Amelia worked as a host.
First year, finally got it.
Past summer at Eulalie.
Yes, I told her story had to begin. She was running a little behind since she was 16, but I'll let it slide.
You started at 13?
10.
10. What did you pick up at that early age that, say, somebody who started later wouldn't have found out?
What do you mean?
So I know what the car business was like because I was with my dad when he would deliver cars or he would transfer cars or do things like that. And I thought, this is really hard. You know what I mean?
Well, being in the office, it wasn't hard. If anything, I started kind of seeing the dynamic of a restaurant. And that's when I started realizing the personalities, because you kind of, it takes a special person to work in a restaurant. You've got to have a strong personality. So, and I meshed really good. I really enjoyed it. And in being in the restaurant, and I guess as a Gonzmart, we are blessed with the gift of gab, and that a lot of us are introverts, but we are forced to not be introverts. Mm-hmm. And so as soon as you put me in a entryway, I have no problem talking to anybody. So
that was the thing that was surprising to me. One time I was standing with your mom and dad outside Eulalie, and it was a big tent and lots of people. And he looked at me, he goes, yeah, I'm really not good at this. He goes, this is really hard.
Yeah, my father and I are the same like that.
That was early on. And I thought, oh, okay, so this is bravery. This is, I have to push through whatever my barriers are for the benefit of
100%. That the struggle is real. Or it's even, if I'm not in a very good mood and I have to walk in to do an event, and I've probably told my husband this more times than not, I really don't want to do this as I walk in the kitchen door. But the minute I walk in the kitchen door, there's something that flips on. And my mother always said, that my grandmother always said, that the show must go on no matter what. Mm-hmm. So.
You talk about your grandmother, and this is Adela Hernandez Gonzmart, third generation owner operator. Tell me what you picked up from her that you carry on a regular basis.
Oh, she was amazing. There's probably not a day that goes by that I don't think about her, because, and I don't think I realized it till later on when I realized what she was doing and how she was so involved in the community and how she gave back so much. And she was never allowed to work in the restaurant.
That's what I wanted to bring up, is how you can have an impact on the family business with the limitations that history gives you.
Yeah. So she was never allowed to do it, mainly because she was a woman, but also her fingers were too important, that she was a concert pianist. But he wanted to get her involved. He wanted her to be engaged in recipe development and, in changing things. And when we were, redoing the restaurant, or, just getting it up to speed for our centennial anniversary, getting her engaged, which I'm glad her few last years involved in her being involved, being part of it. She was always a part of it, because she was always there having lunch, and she was hysterical because she would take the sugar caddy and start putting the sweet and lows in her purse. And I'm like, Lela. I called her Lela. I'm like, she's like, I need him for home. And she's got a little Ziploc baggie.
That generation loved to take sugars, man. I grew up, this is joke. No joke. I think I may have told you this story. My grandmother used to go to Derby Lane and bet on the dogs. Okay. And she would come home. I thought for the first couple of years that I was growing up, because I lived with her and my mom, that everybody's sugars had dogs on them. They had greyhounds on them. I'd go to make my cornflakes in the morning. Oh, there's a dog, That I think that generation knew what it was like to not have things.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, is this free?
I mean,
Okay.
it's just so funny. But she always had such a wonderful group of friends. And, and when I would spend time with her, she'd pick us up from school and we would stop by like we're going to stop by Anna's house and, we're going to get a drink. I'm like, okay. And she was just such a social butterfly and everyone loved her so much. And she gave such wonderful hugs. And so I always try to think, how can I emulate that in my daily life? And be a little mini Adela, because I know she's proud. I know she is.
Well, I know how many people say to you, you resemble your grandmother. You remind me
You
of
look just like your grandmother.
Exactly.
And I tell them that's the largest compliment you could ever give me. It is.
But you talk about somebody who obviously women were not encouraged to operate the kind of business that you had. I mean, you were the first female cook at the Columbia
in the kitchen
in Ybor. You lit the initial flame on the gas stove when they redid the kitchen. But I think about her contribution, so integral in the formation of the Florida Orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
She's in the Florida Women's Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Founder of Ballet Folklorico. I can never say that correctly.
It's a tough word.
Especially after coughing.
Yeah. USF Latino Scholarship.
Right.
I mean, so much a huge part of these things that are still in our community and that have grown.
And also, I mean, I've heard it how many times where your father will tell the story about the Latino scholarships and basically her telling your father, I don't care if you can afford it or not. You have to do this. You have to give back to the community.
100%.
And that's a mindset. That's a philosophy. That's not just sort of, we're doing it for business sake. That is, we have to give back to the community that gave us so much.
And I think that's where RG, he always says, if it didn't hurt, you didn't give enough. And I've taken that and if you don't have the money to give, it's the time. Mm-hmm. You give until it hurts, as long as obviously your schedule allows it. But, he was just he grew up in this philanthropic, family that just believed in giving back at whatever cost it was. And so it was something I was used to. I was in a panel the other day and we were talking about that. And I was like, I never realized what philanthropy was. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really think it was anything until I joined a sorority and we had a philanthropy. And I was like, oh, that's what that word means. I couldn't even pronounce it. And that's when it all started clicking. And then the more I got involved with our Gonzmart Family Foundation, and my father told me, you need to be on boards. I think now, after 25 years of being with the company professionally, I'm starting to see why. Now I'm starting to see how I've been on these boards and what I've gained and how I've given back and the benefits to it, not just to myself, but to the organizations.
Well, and something like Community Harvest, which is, for people who don't know, every September for the entire month at every restaurant that we have is 5% is given back to the community from every bill. It doesn't cost anybody extra. And then the customers get to decide which charities that they choose in each location that are zoned by location around the state. And we were just in our financials meeting this week, mm-hmm. the thing we were late for.
Yes, because I was looking at menus.
I was riding my bike. But, the conversation is, in lieu of advertising where you have no idea what's paying off where,
yes,
we do this. And it's a huge expenditure for a company to do. Good times and bad times. This is the 28th year that we did it. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is a philosophy.
$4 million, right?
Right.
Is where we're at.
And when I talk about never having worked for a brand that was beloved before, that's where it starts. I can't tell you how many times I've read in a review, I really like the fact that they gave 5% back. And that's like a thing that they can go and feel good about in addition to feeling good about the food.
They get to do a little bit of, philanthropic work themselves, and they get to eat lunch while doing it or dinner. Mm-hmm. And then that's the beautiful thing, is that we are given the opportunity to give back. And this is what I always say, we're giving back to this community that has supported us for 120 years. Right. They've been with us through the good, the bad, the ugly, and the great times, mm-hmm. where we are right now. And I believe that we wouldn't be here today without the people that live in Tampa. Because, it's not just tourists that come and see us. It's a lot of locals. And
the statistic we like to talk is roughly 80% of the people who come are locals. And, visitors only go where locals tell them to go. Mm-hmm. So we're blessed to have both. And oh, by the way, we live in Florida. It's okay to have tourists in your restaurants. I hate to tell you this. Thank you, Visit Tampa Bay, by the way.
Yes.
And then the hardest hitting question I'm going to give you. Is it devil crab or deviled crab?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's the most honest answer so far, by the way.
I don't know. And I think I've looked that one up. There's like certain ones. Deviled crab. I think I would go with deviled with an ED.
Really? Okay.
I don't know if that's the right answer.
I don't know that there is a right answer. I've asked this from every guest this season.
Yeah.
And I've gotten a wide range, but I don't know is my favorite.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I cannot answer that one way or the other, fully confident. That is something that I probably will take back to my father and be like, so, RG, is it deviled or devil? I'm kind of curious
now.
You know what?
I think he'll say, I don't know. That's my best Richard impersonation, by the way. Oh, well, thank you for being a guest. We're just going to continue to talk without the cameras. It's what we do. But
go offline.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jeff.
And thank you for joining us on Tampa's Table, a culinary journey. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you like and subscribe to podcasts. And until next time, we'll save a seat at the table for you.